Live. What is going on, everyone? This is Ashanti Titus, executive producer at Ground Over Matter Films, also executive producer of Natural Hair, the movie. I'm super excited because today we are sitting here with Miss Kim Lewis of Curl Mix, one of the co-founders, along with her husband, co-founder Tim Lewis. He couldn't join us today, but that's totally cool because we're going to get some great gems for you guys in relation to ownership and what it takes to build a multi-million-dollar empire. So, how are you today, Miss Kim Lewis?
I'm doing well, Shanti. How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm wonderful. I'm so excited to talk to you. Thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with us, because being a wife, a mother, a founder of a business, I know is not a lot of time in the day. So thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with us. That's one of the things I truly value is time. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So Kim, tell me, what is Curl Mix and what prompted you to create this brand along with your husband?
So Curl Mix is a clean beauty brand for curly hair. We specialize in the wash and go. As you can see, I'm wearing one right now. We basically have a 4-step system that really highlights our flaxseed gel that helps you get the best wash and go ever. I would say if you had to remember us for something, our flaxseed gel, we were kind of like the pioneers for bringing that to market. And then now, like true flaxseed gel, not like synthetic or a product that's a gel. We just add flaxseed oil. I mean, we literally boil real flax seeds and extract the gel for your hair. So it's like cooking in a way.
That is amazing because I've used flaxseed gel and I love it. But the thing is, like, before I've heard about your brand, when I did it, it didn't last but like 3 days.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's volatile. It goes bad. Like you have to, and no one was making a shelf ready one back when we started. So everybody was kind of like either buying the one with the oil, that's flaxseed oil, or making it at home and it going bad in 2 or 3 days. Yeah, that's basically what the alternatives were.
Yeah. So it's crazy. And the thing, I actually discovered your product when I was watching Shark Tank. We are like Shark Tank fanatics. Anything about business, the profit, all that we watched. And when I saw you guys on there giving your pitch, and I have a clip if you guys want to check it out on Instagram when he put out the offer, $400,000 for 20%, and she was like, graciously said no, and her husband agreed. And I was like, a tear came to my eye, and it was a tear of joy because I understood the tenacity, the courage, the confidence in yourself that it took to say no to that. Now, can you tell everyone, why did you say no?
So my husband and I had, at the point we were on the show, we were on track to hit 1 million in revenue. And we have been, the night before we went on the show, we had it's called a BATNA. So it's your better alternative to negotiating an agreement. And it's like, if you can't negotiate, so this is your walk away number, basically. It's like, we're not doing anything more than this percent equity in the company, because we knew at some point we might have to raise again. And so, because 400,000 still isn't a full $1 million round, and we would have probably done $1 million round to start. That was the plan. So Robert was taking the percentage, right? 20% is typically the amount of a round when you raise money. He was taking the full round for like maybe a third of the money that we actually needed. So it was like, that's really not a good deal. And then shortly after the show, we ended up getting a valuation of close to like maybe 12 million. Wow. When Robert gave us a valuation of like 2 million. Yeah. So it was just like, it just made no sense for us, honestly. It felt intense. The decision was a lot quicker in person than they made it seem. Because me and my husband were like, no, like that, we had already decided at 15%, no more. And so Robert wouldn't negotiate past the 20%.
Gotcha. Wow. So that makes a lot of sense. So a BATNA, like, is that like, what exactly, you said that's like pretty much getting an evaluation. So like,
well, no, that is just for any decision that you're going to make. It's the point at which you will walk away, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
It's your better alternative to negotiating an agreement. So if you can't negotiate an agreement, like, what are you going to do? And so for us, we were like, we could find $400,000 or $500,000 some other way that doesn't cost us 20% of our company.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Okay, so you guys did that, like, that's like a part of your prep before the show. So you were prepared and you knew, like,
oh my gosh, we spent so much time preparing for the show. Like, I couldn't even count the out. We probably spent total hours, I don't know, daily at a minimum 2 hours preparing for the show, leading up to it. So in leading up to it, you spend maybe 3 months leading up to it.
Mm-hmm.
So people don't realize like Shark Tank is like a second job. When you go on the
Wow.
show, you're like, there's your display, there's your pitch. We wrote the pitch about 7 times. We binge watched episodes and wrote down every question that the Sharks answered. I mean, would ask the founders, and there were
Yeah.
about 50 questions. So then we also wrote those on note cards and then had 3 points on the back of everyone. And then we would randomly quiz each other as well as give each other insults because we knew, that might happen on the show as well.
Yeah.
And it was just we studied harder for that than anything else. And it was also probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. I have
Wow.
new hard things, right? So like natural birth, that's harder. um,
You've done natural birth?
just yeah, I've
Oh,
had two. So I had one C-section and one natural. And
oh my gosh.
I personally feel like it's overrated, but I was like, my scheduled C-section was phenomenal. I was like, but natural birth was like, oh my gosh,
Oh
people.
my gosh. Even more respect to you. Like, this is my fifth one, and I'm like, heck no. No. So that's amazing. Oh, you're like my superhero right now.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's
Like,
crazy. But so next to natural birth, so natural birth is like the hardest, and then Shark Tank is like a little like notches down from that. Got it. Okay. And you know what? I'm reading this book Damon John wrote called Power Shift. And
mhm.
in there, I think he was talking about one of the guys. I want to say it was the owners of the sock. I forgot the name.
Bombas,
Yeah,
bombas.
B.
Mhm.
Yeah. They watched every episode in preparation, and then they did the same thing that you guys did. And so that makes a lot of sense. That's crazy hearing that. Like again, like you said, a second job.
Oh, what? Because what I was not going to do was go on national television and embarrass myself. That was not gonna happen. I was not gonna be crying. I was not gonna be looking stupid. I need to we need to show up.
You
Uh,
look like a boss. I'll tell you that much.
thank you, thank you, thank you.
You did. And you speak about your husband. So y'all did the preparation, y'all going back and forth, partners, high school, sweethearts. Tell me, what is it like to work with your spouse? I get this question all the time, but from your perspective, what is it like to work with Tim?
So working with my husband, we both have very different lanes. So he has the operation side of the business. I have the admin side of the business. When I say admin, I mean customer service, marketing, finance. Those are my lanes, and then he's focused on operations. So we
Hmm.
kind of have like a couple businesses within one, right? Because the operations includes production of the products as well as shipping it out, as well as like some R&D and quality. So he has a couple of small businesses in there. And then I have, like I said, my marketing, finance, and customer service. And so we just have very different styles. My husband's very much like a jack of all trades, right? So he can do a lot of different things good enough, and I can do maybe fewer things really, really well. So he can be the handyman and be the person negotiating a deal and know a little bit about venture capital, but also know about how to speak to hair care and also know about a little bit about formulation and a little bit about, I don't know, building a house. Like he'll just lots of random things and lots of enough to kind of get you there. And my knowledge is more specialized, so I couldn't tell you anything about handyman anything. Whenever we get a pump machine in or a new heavy piece of equipment or mixer or immersion blender that's $20,000-$30,000 or whatever, I don't know jack squat about putting that thing together or how it's supposed to go, or I don't know. Some of the quality pieces around running the operations like he does. But what I do know is email marketing like the back of my hand. I do know social media engagement and like just very deep marketing knowledge, So I just think we stay in our lanes, right? So that's the big thing. But I would say more recently, as we've grown, it's gotten harder. So
Hmm.
right around like 1 million, it was great because you need generalists in the beginning. You need people who can do a million different things. But as you get closer to about 5 to 10 million in revenue annually, you need people who are specialized in their particular thing and are really good at their thing. And so sometimes it gets crossed along the way, or there's an issue along the way. So I would say now we're running into those issues where it's like, okay, honey, I need you to specialize in something. And that's tough for somebody like my husband because he's never had to pick one thing. And I don't think he likes that. That was one of the reasons he didn't like his previous jobs in tech because they got boring over time. So now it's become a thing of what do you want to do full time? Is it operations, something so where you need to be more specific now, and really a lot more detailed. So I would say in the beginning, it was rocky, but then it got really fluid and a lot better. But now it's getting more rocky because it's like we have a lot more team members. The business is just a lot bigger and a lot different than it was when we were $1 million operation.
Wow. So just like with the saying, there's levels. That's a true statement, right? Because you guys had 23 employees and now you're at 40 employees,
Yeah.
right? So what is a day to day like managing and being responsible for 40 people? Like, how do y'all handle, as far as the training, like the write ups or like making sure people hit goals and things like that? And I'm seeing that you guys employ a lot of minority workers, right? So,
Yeah.
like, what is that like?
Our company, I would say, if I had like somewhere around like 95% minority, which is like pretty major, especially in our industry.
Very.
Because a lot of people will go for like, they just never mind. I won't even say that, but yeah, that's for our industry. My day to day, so I make sure I look at Chromix like a bunch of small businesses, right? So a small agency. Our teams are pretty much our departments have departments, right? So in marketing, there's a content management team, there's a content distribution team, and then there's like a communications team, right? And so in each of those departments, they're like three to five people. It's about 3 people in each. 3 people in each. And so those 3 people, if they wanted to, let's say our content distribution team, that's like email, copywriting, so email marketing, copywriting, and an assistant digital marketer. So those 3 people could run their own agency and probably make $1 million a year on their own, right? And so but they just happen to be nestled under our marketing team. So each marketing team kind of brings in or could make $1 million on their own, right, annually. But together, they kind of generate a significant portion of revenue. And so basically, I end up working a lot with our executive team. So we have a CMO, a COO, I'm the CEO, we have a CFO, and a CCO. That's it, CCO, CMO, CFO. There's 5 of us. So I work directly with them on a regular basis. So I'm like a day to day, 10 o'clock, I'll have our department meeting. So maybe on Tuesdays it's marketing. I'd use 7 to 9 a.m. to kind of get through my email and whatever I need to do. And if I have like 100 emails, I wake up at 6 to kind of plow through it. Because a lot of times I'm holding up my team from getting to doing what they need to do. Tuesday, so 10 o'clock, I have a stand-up meeting with marketing. On like Wednesdays, it's customer service. On Thursdays, it's finance. On Fridays, it's a flex meeting. Mondays, it's operations. And then after that, I'll usually have some kind of like one-on-one with the chief executive of that department, usually, or whoever needs me in that moment. And then maybe around noon, I would say I end up having like a call with someone, a potential interview, or like maybe a negotiation for an agreement, or somebody who wants to demo something for me. I try to stay off a lot of sales calls, but sometimes I'm intrigued enough to get on one.
Yeah.
And then I'll have a coaching session with my coach on a Tuesday. It's usually like an hour and a half, maybe 2, where we're planning for the future and project managing and like, what are the goals for the company? How do we get the team to hit those things? And then I would say maybe around 4 o'clock, I do a quick little sweep in my email real quick to see if anybody needs anything. I'm holding anybody up. And if not, what else? Oh, I walk in the morning. I forgot to mention that. Like around 6 a.m., I'll go for a walk.
Okay.
So
That's
just
awesome.
meetings. I have meetings all day now.
Yeah.
But I will say what I didn't really include is like a lot of the onboarding. So as you know, we hired a bunch of people recently. So maybe like 10 to 20 in the last like 6 months.
Wow.
And so I've been training. So I've been training our team. I've been, and I said a bunch of people. That was so casual. We've hired a few team members. And I've been training them and creating processes and documentation and contracts. And those are the things I'm doing in those flex hours when I'm not meeting or helping getting my assistant to help me with. So honestly, it's a lot of like things I just didn't imagine, right? I didn't imagine my days would be filled with meetings and paperwork. That is what I do now, though.
Yeah.
I'm just not used to it. I don't get to do a lot of doing anymore, and I like the doing. I like the tasks and the tactical work. But as a CEO, I am not able to. I am supposed to be directing the vision and the team and leadership and those kinds of things. So I'm growing into it for sure.
For sure. Yeah, you definitely. And I got a question from the audience. And we kind of went over it a little bit, but they said, when did you decide to do this business full time?
So I am grateful that I've had my husband the entire time. So I was able to work on it full time for the last 5 years.
For the last 5 years. Okay.
Ever
There
since I
you go.
started, because our conversation around it was because there were times where I was like, we're not making money. I should go back and get a job. And my husband was kind of like, no, Kim, like he's like, I'm doing the day-to-day work so that you can handle our future. And he was like, I
Oh,
know. So
amazing.
he's like, I'm not the entrepreneur, you are, right? Like, you know that's in you. Like, you can do
Hmm.
that. And so he just encouraged me the whole time, but also supported our family while I figured it out. And then when I figured it out, that's when he came in. He jumped ship, left corporate world, and kind of came full time in Chromix and did a little bit of everything. So I've been full time since the beginning.
Yeah. Full time since the beginning. Now, let's see. What advice do you have for, budding black owned companies who may be at that fork in the road where they're looking at the option of to continue to bootstrap where it's getting really, really hard, but they have potential investors or they can get financing? What would you say?
Getting investment is very expensive because you can't undo it. So once it's done, it's done. So it's like, if you have to would you get married if you had to get divorced in 5 years? Like,
Yeah.
if you knew you were going to get divorced in a few years, like, would you get married? The answer
No.
is no. Then try to get a bank loan. The problem, or try to find go to the pitch competitions or go to some other. Now, I have raised money. I don't regret raising money. It allowed me to have a team of full-time employees and pay everybody insurance and pay their insurance and their vision and their dental and like give them days off and not keep everybody contractors as long as possible. Because when you don't raise money, you have to do those things. You pretty much keep people as contractors. They don't get benefits. They don't really get paid days off. Like, and that's not a good culture or environment to have somebody working in, right? So they could just go back to corporate.
Hmm.
Um, so I think there's pluses and minuses, right? And then I also think that raising money allows you to grow a lot faster. So we went from 100,000. Well, we went from 100,000 revenue annually to 1 million, and that was without capital. That was out with very, very little capital. So Arlen from Backstage Capital gave us about 25,000, and that was what helped us get to the million. And then after that, we raised $1 million right around the time we were on Shark Tank, and we got to 5 million. And that was necessary because we were at the point where we had loans, like outstanding loans from lots of different like providers. We had run up our credit cards. Like we were bootstrapping most of the way there. And so we ended up using that money to pay off a lot of debt as well, and the money that we made from Shark Tank. So we just like kind of made us whole, if you will. And then it allowed us to make our 12 contractors at the time full-time employees. So I just think it just depends on your goals. If you want to be a lifestyle business and you're not trying to sell it to nobody, or you're not trying to like grow really, really quickly, then like just take a loan, like, or find another way to generate some cash or do some pitch competitions or something like that. But if you want to grow something really, really big and you don't mind selling a piece to someone with like-minded values, who cares about the customer that you're serving, who cares about the industry and what you're doing, and then also you want to provide a better lifestyle for your employees. People wag their finger at Black folks who take investments or things like that, but it's like, so do you want me to pay my employees well, or do you want me to pay the minimum wage, which is like $8 or $9, right? So our team, nobody at our company makes less than $17 an hour.
That's awesome. That's
Um,
hard to do too with payroll taxes.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, and at
Yeah.
$17 an hour, that's outside of like, we still cover a portion of their insurance and their dental,
That's
and their vision.
amazing. Yeah.
Um, and we have, I think it's like 7 or 8, maybe 8 to 10 paid holidays annually, on top of vacation. Like these things cannot be done, right?
Yeah.
Or somebody who's like, not, they can be done if you're not funded, but like it's very hard, very,
Yeah.
very hard.
Yeah, and the reason why I know, like, I'm an accountant, and like seeing like how much like payroll taxes that companies pay. It's absolutely crazy. You're literally matching their portion, and then insurance, and then on top of days, you're actually paying people for like when they the days that they don't work. Which, on employee side, of course that's a job with good benefits, and then to be able to provide that, it takes money, and people don't seem to understand when you're on the boss side of things, like that's what you're supposed to do, right? But okay,
Yeah.
how do you do it, right? And then so it's, and we had a whole big, conversation about some companies who, you know took buyouts, or we got investors. It's just like, who's available? Who else is available as far as that's an African American that's willing to invest, that has the same values as you, and that's gonna do it, and do it proudly. And it's very hard to find. Not saying that it's not out there.
Yeah.
I know me and my husband, we've heard of Arlen and seen some of the work she's done. So that's
She's
amazing.
phenomenal. She's
Yes,
phenomenal.
that is awesome. So we definitely want to give hats off to those individuals who are there doing that work, because there's not a lot of us doing it. There's not a lot
Exactly.
of them available. So hats off to you as well for
Thank you.
employing moms, because it's like hard, being an employee, being a mom, and then having to take jobs less than $17. So that's a really good living wage. So
Thank
good job on that. Now I want to do two more things, and then we'll wrap it up. So as far as marketing, you hit that you've been really good at marketing. So how, like, what would be some pointers for people who are bootstrapping? Because I know for some of my friends who are entrepreneurs, one of the things that they run into a lot is how to keep the leads coming in, how to keep the sales flowing, and all of that. Like, what would be, like, I guess, your number one tip to marketing?
When we first started, so my number one tip is email marketing.
Okay.
Don't hire somebody, figure it out yourself first, and then hire somebody to do it. But you need to figure out how to do it, because you don't know if the job is being done well or not. Email marketing is still our number one driver for revenue. Number outside of paid ads, everything. It's email marketing. But that's only once you have the customer, right? So that's like, well, once you have the person on your website. To get people on your website to start, we work with influencers and we do revenue sharing. So basically, they would earn, 10% of the sale, and they would give their audience 20% off. So you might lose a little bit of money on that first sale, but if they come back and buy again, it's all profit. So revenue sharing with influencers, and then of course organic social media, but
Mhm.
not just like a posting on Instagram, right? Like I think people who get up and go live in front of their audience, like we're doing now, like we do with Wash and Go Wednesday, that is how because all these platforms favor live content. So Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, when it's live, they're gonna make sure they show it to people organically. So you're gonna get in front of a lot more people for free, than like spending, money on ads if you don't have the money to start yet. And then once you kind of get some early sales and you start seeing things growing, and your customer, when you tell them about what you sell and they buy it instantly without you having to, pull their leg and their arm to just say, come on, please get this, you kind of find some kind of product market fit. So I'll give you an example. For flaxseed gel, we
Mhm.
found out we're using it to do wash and goes. I wasn't even like a big wash and go girl back then. But when I saw people doing it with wash and goes, I was like, oh, well, let me show them how to do it. And so then we went live, and then I found that wash and go girls were flaxseed gel girls. And I was like, boom, product market fit. That's what we're doing. And that is when revenue just started to climb, and it would jump from 3,000 in January to 30,000 in March. And we hadn't
Whoa.
put
But
any
lives?
not live. We weren't doing lives yet. We were just doing influencer marketing. So we were
Okay,
doing
influence. Okay,
revenue
gotcha.
sharing. We
Wow.
didn't have the lives until maybe September. And there
Mhm.
are a lot of other things I'm going that will go into that I'm glossing over. I'll just say that.
Mhm.
But by the time we went on Shark Tank, so January was 3,000 in sales, March was like 30, and then the time we went on Shark Tank, it was like 100,000, which is September. So it was like
Wow.
a 9 month growth period, focusing on influencer marketing, that was revenue sharing, social media, email, and live. So that's like four different things that we were doing to kind of generate revenue. Oh, and
Amazing.
then paid ads. Paid
Hey,
ads.
what's the best platform? Would it be Google, Facebook, or Instagram in your opinion?
Facebook's gonna make you the most money.
Yeah, gotcha. Now, Kim, what one of the things we talked about in Natural Hair, the
It does depend on your audience. Right? If you have a younger audience, you might go for like a Snapchat or something like that. But I mean,
Snapchat. Okay.
if you have a younger audience, though, if your audience is like your main audience is like younger than 30, right? Maybe even 25, but like, but mostly Facebook works for most everybody.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry. Okay. All right. And then one of the things I wanted to say on Natural Hair the movie, we talk about what one of the things that's important is ownership as well as legacy as well. What would you like for your legacy to be?
Oh, I've been thinking about this. So in my book I've been reading for the E-Myth, it talks about what do you want people to read out in your eulogy at your funeral. And I am still working on that. I think what I want my legacy to be is a job creator. I create a place for Black people, not Black people, but people of color, but mostly Black people to work where they feel like they can be their whole selves at work and not feel like they got a code switch. That to me is such a major difference in the culture where we work. So, because when Black people don't have to code switch, they can truly just be. And that is when we are our best and we get the best work. So I didn't know how smart I was until I worked at Chromix, because I didn't have to prove to my team that I was smart. Or I didn't have anybody that was like, well, she talks like this and she wears her hair like this, and she lives in this neighborhood. Like there was those were never questions, my team didn't have a certain tone of voice when they would talk to me. You know how you code switch? Hi guys, how are you
Yep.
today? Like and that doesn't happen in our meetings. And so when you show up to work like that, oh, the possibilities are endless. And so I want my legacy to be creating a place to work where people can be them. They bring themselves. It doesn't mean that they're not respectful. It doesn't mean that you're not like appropriate. You know what I'm saying? But it's
Oh
just
yeah.
it's honest. I don't know. So that's what
Right.
I'm so far. So just a job creator, and what that creates a culture that allows you to bring your whole self to work.
That is amazing, and that is so truly needed. And one of the things that we talked about, I'm speaking to the audience before we went live, is we talked a little bit about her background in relation to working in a super conservative environment, and then just having the guts to quit one day and being like, you know what, this isn't for me. I'm done. I've done that like multiple times. People thought I was crazy, but it's like you get tired of being someone else. My first name is Ashanti Titus, right? And so one of my friends, she worked in HR, and I graduated during the what is it called, the recession in 2008. She said, "Hey, you may want to try using your middle name as opposed to, my middle name was Sherelle as opposed to Ashanti." I was putting out resumes under Ashanti, never got a call back. As soon as I did what she said, I was getting calls for jobs. And so, and that's the type of things that we have to, or feel like we have to do if we're going to play
Yeah.
that game.
Yep.
So, totally what you're doing is needed. People don't like to talk about these little dirty secrets that, certain HR companies, people in HR play, but this is real, and I would rather work for an organization or create my own organization that appreciates what I bring to the table versus my freaking name.
Yeah.
Like, and you're automatically being crossed out because your name sounds black or is black.
Exactly. And for
Yeah.
me, I almost when I hire people, I'm looking at I almost don't even read resumes anymore. Honestly, I don't like what they tell you about people because I feel like it's not an accurate picture. We do assessments, so it's like, what was your initial communication in the email? Was it spelled correctly? Did you actually do what we asked? Okay, cool. Then we send you an assessment, and you do like a video presentation back, and that's what I'm interested in. And I don't mind if like people got southern twangs or whatever, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not important to me. Sometimes I don't even I don't even look at education, because I look at work experience, look at what you can actually do and produce, because that to me that's just more valuable, than like really all the pomp and circumstance that goes with a certain kind of degree.
Right. Oh, for sure. Because certain people, I mean, let's be real about it. They have degrees, they feel entitled. And they, certain ones, not everybody, but I've met certain people, they feel, oh, I don't want to do that type of work. And that's under this pay grade. I have a degree. Well, what can you do? Like, how much money can you save the company? You should be, like, your salary, what you're doing as far as adding to the bottom line should be at least like 2 or 3 times it.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes, yes.
And so, and that's the thing. And it's just like, and those people that don't necessarily have the degrees are a lot of times one that produce more. And I'm, this is from what I've seen,
Mm-hmm.
personally. I'm not against, I don't know. Partially, I am against the whole system as far as the loans and things like that and what comes with it. But I think what you're doing is a phenomenal thing. You guys are doing an amazing job. You're definitely an inspiration, defying so many odds. People saying black people can't work together. Black women are difficult to be married to, having a family. You guys are breaking through, like, and you've exceeded like all of those molds. So I just
Thank
wanted
you.
to just, tip my hat off to you and say keep on
Thank you
doing
so
your
much.
thing, and we'll be continuing to watch you guys. So thank you so much, Kim, for your time. This is Kim. This has been the CEO of Curl Mix, and this is Shanti Titus with Grind Over Meta Films. Check out our film, Natural Hair, the movie, where we talk about ownership and being your true self. Until next time, y'all, stay beautiful and stay great. And follow them on Instagram at Curl Mix. All
Yeah,
right?
mix. Or my personal one, just Kim and Tim Lewis. But
Awesome. Well, y'all have a great one, y'all. Bye.
bye, Shanti.
Bye.